Okay, so let's talk about how your son's hearing loss is inherited. Now, before I go ahead, please keep in mind that this is very specific to his hearing loss within your family, and we know that other genetic conditions can be inherited in different ways. Okay, so the hearing loss in your son is inherited in what we call an autosomal recessive fashion, and basically autosomal means that it affects boys and girls equally, and I'll go on to explain what recessive means in just a moment. Now, there's one particular gene that's involved in this type of hearing loss, and we all have 2 copies of this gene, okay? And like I've said before, we get 1 copy from our mom and 1 copy from our dad. And so if this is yourself here, sometimes what can happen is an individual can have a change or a misprint, sort of like a spelling mistake in one of these copies of the gene, which can cause it to not work properly. Okay? And because you have the other copy of the gene, which is working normally, this doesn't affect your health at all. Okay. And so this person is called a carrier, like yourself. Okay. It's only when both partners are a carrier for this same change in a gene that it can have an implication for their children. So if we have your husband Asif over here, and he's also a carrier for a change in this gene, then every time you go to have a pregnancy, there's 4 different possibilities in how these genes can recombine. Okay, because each of us passes on half of our genetic material. Right? So there's 4 possibilities. The first one being that Asif passes on the copy of the gene which functions normally, and so do you. And so this is a healthy child. Second possibility is Asif passes on the copy that works normally, and you pass on the copy with this misprint. So this makes the child a carrier like yourselves, which is also a healthy child. The child can also be a carrier if Asif passes on the copy with the misprint and you pass on your working copy. And the last possibility is if both of you pass on the copy with the misprint and the child has 2 copies of the gene, both that are not working normally, and so that has an implication for the development of that child, which can then cause the hearing loss. Okay, so with each pregnancy, there is a greater chance, a 3 in 4 chance, that your child would be healthy, so that's 75%, or a 1 in 4 chance that your child would have hearing loss, or 25% chance. So this is with every pregnancy, and this is whether you have a boy or a girl.
So now I understand. So that's my son. So what about Miriam? I know she doesn't have hearing loss, but
yes,
would you be able to tell if she's a carrier or not?
Right. Well, just by looking at her, we can't do that, but we can do what's called a genetic test to look to see if she's a carrier. And so for that, what we normally tell families is that because she's quite young right now, and this information doesn't impact her health directly, because there is a 2/3 chance she can be a carrier when she's a little bit older, after the age of 16, or when she's planning her own family, she can come back and visit us, and we can talk to her about her options for testing and seeing if she would like to know the information.
Okay.